Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Salad Bowl Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Thompson. And in this upcoming episode, I have something lined up for you that's pretty special. Because sitting across from me isn't just a guest, this is my brother, someone I consider to be one of my bestest of friends. Brandon Mitchell and I met back in 2009, stationed together, young, hungry, and still figuring out who we were becoming. And from the very beginning, Brandon was one of those people that I've always admired for being gifted, confident, and quietly driven. If you know him, you know this. There aren't many sports he can't walk into and compete in. But basketball, that's home. Today, Brandon is the All-Marine basketball coach for the United States Marine Corps. But that title only tells a fraction of his story. His journey starts with his roots in the Virginia Beach area and grows out to Albany, Georgia, and into an organization that he has manipulated to fit his goals and his needs. His moves through the enlisted ranks include stepping away from the Marine Corps, capturing his college basketball hoop dreams, and then choosing to come back and commission as a United States Marine Corps officer. It's not a straight line, but it's a story about identity, humility, patience, and purpose. Beyond the uniform and the accolades, he's a husband, a father, and the dad to my godson, which is pretty dope. And in this conversation, we get into what it really means to him, fatherhood, leadership, life, and what it truly takes to win, not just on the court, but at home in your own skin. This episode is about growth, about betting on yourself, and about honoring every chapter that made you who you are. So pull up a chair because this is going to be a good one.
Now, give me my theme music.
You are now tuned into the Salad Bowl. You are now tuned into the. Listen up, don't care if you about to pass out or you just getting up. You really did your thing with this one, Kevin, gotta give it up. Messages you bring and be motivation to live it up. We out here really normalizing authenticity. Can't be talking all the time cause that mean you ain't listening. I think you look better when you smile, I see you glistening. Communication helping me to see what you envisioning. Yeah, back to the mission then. Whether you black, white, brown, yellow, or green, more can be accomplished as a team. Together the problem is never as hard as it may seem. Lot of captivating convos like Martin telling his dream. We choosing curiosity over certainty. You should certainly subscribe to this one here with some urgency. This a win. Even Cali know. You are now tuned in to the Salad Bowl. The Salad Bowl Podcast.
It's the Salad Bowl Podcast.
You are now tuned in to the Salad Bowl.
It's the Salad Bowl Podcast.
Yeah, you are now tuned in to the.
It's the Salad Bowl Podcast.
You are now tuned in to the Salad Bowl.
You are now tuned into the Salad Bowl Podcast with Kevin Thompson.
All right, welcome back to the Salad Bowl Podcast. Of course, I've told you already that I got a real special guest with me today. I want to officially welcome Brandon Mitchell to the Salad Bowl Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And, we're already starting off with a laugh because, of course, things happen behind the scenes. But one thing you're gonna find out about this guy, he's a jokester, but he has a pretty good story on him as well. Like we start every episode. We start the episodes off with a segment we call The Harvest. And This is where we get to know Brandon Mitchell. Of course, I raved about you in your intro, talked about some of the light things as far as your experiences that we'll get into later on in the episode. But The Harvest, we really get to explore people's roots, like where they come from, because I think it tells us a lot about the things that come out of people's mouths, how they act, and how they see the world. So in getting into The Harvest with your story, can you kind of tell me a little bit about who Brandon Mitchell was coming up in this world?
Okay. Yeah. The origin story of Brandon Mitchell. First, I'd like to say I come from a family that has overcome some adversity and has beat the odds, we would say. So my mother had me at 17 years old, coming from what we would say a poverty situation. And so we had a little rough beginning, but it is a lot of love in the family. My family, the Mitchell family, and my grandmother and grandfather, my uncles, all of them loved on me. we even have some stories where they always say my granddad, before he used to go to work, he would make me pancakes, feed me, and then go to work.
Wow.
So that's where it started out in Virginia Beach. We had a little bit of time in Virginia Beach, and then fast forward, origins. Like I said, my family very loving. My mom eventually remarried, and then she married a military man, and he took us to Japan. So I got to get a little world travel early. I think Japan was good to me and my family. It helped us grow together. We accomplished some good things over there. I think they built some roots that helped the stability of our family. And then from there we migrated to Albany, Georgia. So from right there, just like I said, very diverse background, a couple different schools, participated in a lot of different activities. My mom and stepdad, they were very much encouraging of different activities and different things, diversity of thought, things like that. So I come from a very talented family on the Mitchell side. We have a lot of athletes, a lot of high level people. Our family is one of those, like with me and my family, we just kind of get along and love on each other. Like every other family, we got our difficulties, but we love on each other, and I got a good foundation.
It's interesting you say that because I think a lot of people attribute adversity to like a harsh life where there's not much love. But the fact that you said, hey, I came from a loving family, though we dealt with some hard times, it seems like love is what gets us through some of those hard times, especially when we're loving on each other as far as where we come from. And the close proximity we have to a community. I mean, we were driving over here today for the episode, and I was kind of talking about like how I fell in love with New Orleans. Not necessarily the location; it's not the prettiest or anything like that. The potholes are bad, but the sense of community we have here in New Orleans is kind of what gets us through.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Any place, and is my opinion that any place you go to, you're going to be who you are. And if you have a positive outlook on life, then you'll be around positive people that are doing things. And, vice versa, those that think that I'm going to move away to the most glorious place and I'm going to change, an environment is going to change who I am, that's not necessarily true. It might enhance and help you on your way, but you are who you are. And then if you, like you said, the good energy of New Orleans being here, I think it's compatible. You know what I mean? If I'm a good energy person, you're going to be around good energy things.
Yeah. I mean, of course, like what you said, I mean, there seems like there's some value in traveling as well. You went out to Japan, in your school age days. Do you feel like that was beneficial to shape and mold who Brandon Mitchell ended up becoming?
The location itself, I would say not so much. Like I said, my mom is a very strong figure. I think my stepdad is what you would say is a actual man, being a United States Marine. He helped shape, and then my brother and sisters, and then I was very involved in the community there. Played some sports. We was in church a lot. The education is strong. I went to a pretty good school, so I think that could be anywhere, but the nucleus of the family is what I would say is the part that paid the most dividends for me.
Nice. Now, you talked about your brother and your sister. Tell me a little bit about them. Are you the who? Because I know that you're the oldest, but you have a lot of older sibling tendencies. Yeah. But tell me a little bit about your brother and your sister.
All right, so I got a lot of siblings, but I grew up with my brother and sister, Jasmine and Alex. I think we had what you would call the normal brother and sister battles. In adulthood, I would want to say like me and my sister are very close. When my brother was younger, I would say we were very close. And now I think he's a little more, I think like most men, very independent, doing his own thing. And I think all of us, for the most part, get along. We try to do our best to keep our nucleus of the family together. But my brother and sister, who? So no.
How many years you got on them?
So it's funny, we're all 3 years apart. So I'm 3 years older than my sister, and she's 3 years older than my brother.
Now, I know Alex and Jasmine, And as much as rowdy as y'all are, I will say, in my opinion, I think Jasmine probably whooped you a couple times.
Never.
And Alex. I'm just saying.
Never. Now,
right.
when it comes to the siblings, I'm undefeated.
If you say so.
Now, Alex, he might not have got the best of Jasmine sometimes, but neither one of them. You know, I could beat both of them at the same time. What are we talking about?
That sounds like a little denial to me, but I know you more than everybody.
When you know how when you publish and you get the comments, it's the truth. If they say
real.
otherwise, block them.
That's real. All right, so life in Japan. You came back from Japan. What was the next stop?
Georgia.
Albany, Georgia. Now, me being from Georgia, I'm from the Atlanta side of Georgia. You know, there's a lot more things happening in Atlanta than in Albany. Tell me about Albany. How you feel about Albany?
I don't. Nah, Albany is cool. It's a cool place. I think, again, having a secure family, a family that rocks together. I got to go to what they would say is one of the better schools in Albany, going from Westover. I think Westover for me was compatible. I fit right in. Got a good friend base from there. We lived in a pretty good neighborhood. You know, when you ride the bus and all those things, I always be laughing. Like they used to, when I was coming up, we used to joke on the bus. And if you didn't get on that bus ready, you could get joked for 30 minutes strong on the bus, and you better be ready. So
I've been told that builds character.
Hey, for sure.
That's how I remember the bus being like that for me as well.
Hey, you get on that bus slacking in the morning, it could be on at 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, so I remember the bus rides in school. I think I would say that, you know, again, a community. Albany is one of those places where I think people build communities. Everybody is cousins. You know, there's not too many degrees of separation, and I think that the Southern hospitality part of being down there, I could appreciate that.
Yeah.
The city itself, I wasn't there long enough to say that I'm from there or it shaped me, but I did do 2.5 years of high school there, so it was good.
That's what's up.
Good times.
Now, I mean, it's no secret about it. You're, at least from my point of view, somebody who's extremely talented when it comes to athletics. You played sports in high school, middle school, I'm guessing as well. When did you realize that you were a little bit more talented than your average coming up in school?
So my story is a little bit different because we moved around. And I wasn't always the best behaved. So I think I've always been in if I've played, I was always in somewhat of a leadership role. I don't know if I was always the best, you know, but I was always a good athlete. I don't have the same origin stories as everybody else where I was an All-American or all this and all that. But when I was in Japan, we won. And when I got to Albany, I didn't get to play high school in Albany, but I did play a lot of travel ball and rec ball, which at the time was fairly competitive, and we won. And then even moving past that, I would have to say that one thing about me in athletics is that if I was a part of the program, we have won. So I think I know what it takes to win. I think I always had a drive. Like I said, if I wasn't a difficult youth, I think I could have went a lot farther because my parents just didn't go for the disrespect and funny stuff. So I've always been athletic, always been able to play multiple sports. If you put me in an arena, I'm a competitor. But yeah, I've participated in sports my whole life, and always won, and I've always had some kind of award, and I've always been in a leadership position in the field of play. Yeah,
I think we're definitely going to get into that because would you say that it's luck that gets you the win, or do you feel like there's what's the key to winning when it comes to coming up? Like as you're learning to compete, right? Like, does winning just come second nature for some, or is it something that was in the mixing of either how you were raised, how you prepared? What you think?
Winning or being a champion or winning comes with respecting the process and understanding that competition is fragile. Like, you know, just because you lost on the scoreboard don't mean you're a loser, you know. But to be able to win in the results-based business of basketball or football, you have to go through the process. Like, You have to lift, you have to run, you have to sleep, you have to eat, you have to manage a whole slew of things. And if you can do that and you can and sync your teammates, because I've always played team sports, if your teammates can sync up and have a certain unselfishness about you and be for the team, I think you can win.
I feel like that's a good rule of thumb. And I think that it's probably easier said than done. Just in playing sports myself, I know that there's some frustrating points that bring friction when it comes to that logic or that concept. But the ones who do it right obviously can end up winning. I feel like later on in this episode, we're definitely going to dive a little bit deeper into that. But when it comes to the harvest and thinking about how you were raised and the things that made you, obviously you played play sports in your high school days as an adolescent, but it all ended up leading you to not sports. It ended up leading you to an organization called the United States Marine Corps.
Yeah.
That seems a little bit off. It seems like you probably had the talent. You probably had the wherewithal to get to somebody's college and play some kind of sports. How did you land in the Marine Corps?
So I would say I have a family that is pretty realistic, because even towards the end of my high school days, one of my coaches, John, was taking me on a tour where like I got to try out and play for Hargrave. I got to do some other things. We tried a couple college visits, but what I know now that I didn't know then is that it's hard to be like a walk-on. Like, because I could play. Like, there's no one is going to say that Mitch couldn't play basketball. I just wasn't in the mix. And a lot of those were just due to my own shortcomings and just being difficult. But I come from a family that is like, when you graduate, the options, if you're ready, are you get a job and stay here. That was like option. Option 2 is you go to school, whatever that may look like. At the time, I don't think my family was quite postured to be like, I could pay your whole tuition.
Yeah.
But we could have figured out the financial world if that's where we wanted. And then the military. I was in Albany. Albany has a resemblance of the Marine Corps. I wasn't pushed to the Marine Corps, but it's just the recruiting process. I think they do the best. Like, I was very arrogant, walked in there like I owned the place. You know how it goes. And then they have a way of just enticing you.
Yeah.
So, the Marine Corps, I don't know if the Marine Corps chose me as much as I chose them, but it made me like, the guys that were in that office were good dudes and had good energy and helped me through some of them difficult days when you're at the end of your high school career and you're being difficult towards your parents. I always call it the end of the school year type behavior.
That's real.
I'm up out of here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I'm grown.
All right, yeah.
What are you talking about?
I'm about to... I don't gotta be here. Yeah, all right. So like,
ooh, just give me a couple more months.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be up out your house.
So I think that the presence of them being men, and I've been blessed, like I was saying in my origin story, blessed to be around people who were men, that can be like, bro, you tripping. You know, like let's tighten it up. So yeah, that was cool. So like, yeah, I ended up in the Marine Corps, and in that part of my life, the rest is history, kind of right there.
Yeah, we're definitely going to dive into that when we get to our mixed ingredients segment. But I always find it interesting to go over somebody's origin story, because, again, when people have these ideologies or the way that they look at life, a lot of it is structured in the socialization of them coming up in this world based off of who they were around, were their parents there. I think one of the biggest impacts that I've seen that I didn't realize coming up was two-parent households, like how strong of, and this is not in every case, but the two-parent households is an advantage to a lot of children coming up, because for one person to have to do it, you know, the single parent to have to do it the entire 18 years alone can be a tough toll. And inevitably, I think there's some things that you could just miss because you're only one person. I think the tag team of a partnership does help out in some households. I say some households because there are situations to where, you know, things can be abusive. All this negative stuff can actually happen. So thanks for going over kind of like your origin story. And I think that leads us to our next segment. Our next segment is a little game we play here on the podcast. We call it the toss-up. Now, the toss-up is just a kind of like a questions game. I have a salad bowl in front of me. I'm gonna let you pick.
Did you vet these questions, or is this
Bruh,
is this the setup?
This might be a setup.
Hey, is this the setup?
I'm gonna let you pick whatever questions. You're gonna do 5 questions.
5.
I wrote these questions specifically for Brandon Mitchell.
Oh my God.
And we'll see how these questions
All
go.
right, so let's start with this. All right, here we go.
Don't get a picture on me. So you just pick one out, hand it to me, and then we'll I'll read it for you, and then we get to talk about it, man. Hopefully it's not too challenging. It should be pretty interesting.
Yeah. I feel like your face right now is giving it away.
I feel like our viewers are probably like, what does Kev know about Mitch that's got him laughing so much?
Everything.
All right, here goes the first question. I think the first question is going to be a good one. All right, if you could define winning for the next generation of leaders and athletes, what would it be?
Winning for the next generation? So I think because in the environments I'm in, as a leader, I coach. I have my own set of kids in the house. Military. I think that the leaders, as long as these guys and girls are productive citizens, good people that we're trying to produce into society, I think that's a win. Especially in like this distracted world where people have more options than we even had. Like you can go off the beaten path and you can do a lot of different things. So I think for this generation, as long as they have an opportunity in life, at least one point in their life where you chase your passion till failure maybe, or maybe you break through, depending on what that is. They have the ability to be independent. They can be independent thinkers, and they can be productive. They can contribute to our society. That's a win.
Yeah, man. I like that because one with your answer, I think you're speaking from the perspective. I think we're in UNC status. I think officially, right?
I'm right there.
Yeah, like we in our getting up there in our 30s,
right? And
it's to the point where I show up to the basketball court and everybody just automatically like, hey, UNC, and I'm like, God damn, maybe I'm not looking so young anymore.
OG?
Right, OG, right? But like I think a lot of OGs are people who are in UNC status would answer that question from their vantage point rather than looking at the generation that's coming up and answering it best from their point of view.
Right.
And it seemed like what you just gave is a little nugget based off of somebody else's point of view rather than just your own of what you experienced, which I think, for the ones that are listening or watching out there, I think they would appreciate that rather than just listening to the old guy in the room who just wants to talk about how it used to be.
Right. I would say, too, though, one of the advantages I have is that I coach college basketball right now at the JUCO level, and one of the things is being around the youth every day and some leadership challenges is that it can't be about me and what I've been through. Like, well, just press through and just do it. Like, okay, that's what I was told, but let's advance beyond that. And I always tell leaders that it's not the generation's job to adjust to us. We need to adjust to them. So you have the ability to lead.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very selfish view for you to be like, they need to be like me when you're supposed to be leading them.
Yeah.
Now, like we always say, the standard is a standard. Like, the right is right and wrong is wrong. But, you're the leader. You affect the environment. And you can shift and sway and guide them in a different way. It doesn't have to be the ways of old. But you need some old school and some new school. That's why, like, at the age group we're in right now, I think we are the contributors to society because you're old enough. One of my cousins, old enough to know better, but young enough to still do it.
Yeah,
like you can still. We're in like that phase. Like I understand what they're going through somewhat because I'm not that far removed.
Right.
But I also understand where I could see your foresight. Like, hey man, that's a decision that you might. You might regret that. Like if I could help you and tell you, like, you don't want to slap your brother in the back of the head.
Right.
Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to fight that dude. Like I had some guys that wanted to fight. No, when I see him, I'm going upside his head. I know because I used to be like, I was a hothead. Like I wanted somebody wrong you, I want to fight. And you'd be like, look, man, in 1 year from now, if that fight won't matter, is it even worth it?
Right.
Is it worth, in the Marine Corps side, is it worth your career or having to answer somebody in basketball and the level we're at? Is it worth you sacrificing your future or someone not paying for your school? as like my son and them. Are you even ready to fight somebody? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
boy,
Do you know what
ain't-
even that feels
yeah.
like? What does that even feel like?
Right.
You don't even know.
Well,
You just have an idea of it.
You just relax.
Right.
You know. Now it's gonna come a time when you're gonna be like, and it's worth going crossing that line. And I would tell if you think it's worth crossing the line, cross that line. But just understand the implications of your actions. And that's why I think we just got to kind of guide the youth. So I'm blessed to be able to coach and mentor young people, and I think that's what keeps me grounded.
Yeah, I think a guy we both know. I remember we went to his class, Saya Asar. I remember one of his like mentorship guidelines. He said something about like the 3 R's, like you have to be reliable, relatable, and relevant. And I think a lot of leaders miss out on the relevant piece because, like you said, we're old enough to know better than to do that, but we're not far removed from it. And I think that's what keeps us a little bit relevant on not forgetting how it felt. The rush of anger that happens when you do want to fight, or if you're on the basketball court, you see something a certain way, or just in life, like you might see things through a certain perspective. I think it's fair for us to be able to lead in that way during this time.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
All right,
especially in a distracted world where you can there's influences from everywhere. There's a thing called influencers. Like,
yeah, literally, literally,
like the videos, the TikToks, the Instagram stories, what's going on, the news, like the media, the news cycle is so fast that they're getting pulled in all different directions. And as long as you can keep it straight and narrow, I think that's a win.
Yeah, I heard something the other day, bro. This guy was saying like in a world full of followers, nobody's asking the question of what are you following that person to, you know? And
that's a good one.
It makes you think like, dang, okay. We've coined this term as far as following, but like you have to be following somebody to something, and identifying that probably is the answer behind.
Trying to be a pro dancer.
Dancer.
That's all y'all be doing.
You know, like the TikTok dances and the
like,
trends.
You want to be? What are you trying to be on a music?
And where's that
video?
going to get you to? Pro dancing,
get you a couple of followers. You know, if you're good enough.
Maybe.
You know?
All right. Well, man,
I would say like you said, what I was going back to is like at least you follow your dream to failure. Do that.
Yeah. You think there's value in that?
For sure. Like I would say, we always say in our world is like in basketball or as an athlete, you're going to fail at some point. Like in a world of all of us wanting to be professional athletes, if you didn't make it, you failed. But your failure doesn't have to be like you said, your adversity doesn't have to be against you. You just learned. Like it's just you come to the end and you hopefully have a foundation in this world. Hopefully you have some education. Hopefully you got some life skills. So follow your dream to failure. It's just like a business. Someone like this starts a business. You know, when you talk to businessmen and women, they don't feel like a failed business. There's so much lessons that come from that. So even if your business failed, right, how easy is it to start the next one? Once you then did it, went through the lessons, you already know what to do because the values that you gain and the lessons, your value just went up. So do it to failure and see if you can press through. I know in all the books I read, they failed, and then now you're the greatest thing that we know in that industry.
Yeah.
So you just gotta press through.
It's funny because the last person that I talked to here on the show, his name was Terry, older guy. He said something to the point, and hopefully I don't mess up his quote, but he said, "Experience is the name that we give our mistakes." And I was like, man, that's pretty wise. That's right there. Yeah, because like the failure actually could produce the success, right? If you don't fail, you don't even know what it feels like, and you don't know what to do better the next time.
Right.
So yeah, man, really, really good point, man. Well, that's question 1. You got 4 more questions left, man, on the toss up. Hand me your next question.
Stop laughing.
All right, question number 2 for Brandon Mitchell. This is gonna be a good one, especially knowing you. I was hoping out of all the questions that I wrote that this was one of the questions that were going to come out. Thank you for picking it. Here it goes. When competition is no longer available, no court, no rank, no scoreboard, who is Brandon Mitchell?
Like if you're saying I'm not a competitor?
If you're not competing, if basketball's not around anymore.
I'm a competitor to my core, so it doesn't matter what the medium is, I'm going to compete. So one thing that I would have to say about me is that I'm a good family man. I love my family, my nuclear family, my wife and kids. I compete there every day because it's a choice to wake up and love on them and provide good energy. Um, I'm also, I think the family aspect, because I was gonna say I'm a good son. I try to be a good mentor. I try to be a good piece in the community. Because if I wasn't competing, I'm gonna watch someone else compete. So even like with some of like my nephew and them, I just show up and hang out with them. Just if they ask me a question, I try to just guide a little bit. So if I'm not a competitor, I'm going to compete. Let's get there. But I would say I would be a mentor and try to be a positive influence in this world.
Yeah.
That's who I would be.
Yeah, man, that's funny because, and you saying that you're going to continue to compete, the way that you pivoted into competing for your family is something that I think that I wouldn't have understood when I was 19 years old.
Right.
But here in our 30s, I think is definitely a reality. You talked about your family and of course we didn't overlook it in your origin story, but like, tell me about your family and what makes them worth competing for.
Oh, you talking about the wife and kids? Well, first things first, I was told to say this under duress. I love my wife and she's my everything. Nah, but
Hey, Kathy. Hey, sis.
in my story, one of the biggest parts after we get past, let's just say 18 to 30, one of the biggest pieces is that I met Kathy, who is a very, very much, your better half. And I want to compete to be number one. Like, so when I say I want to be number one with her, my son, my daughter, my nephew, they all live with me. I want to be number one. And I say number one in the fact that I want to be able to have some influence, be a part of their lives, have them be a part of my life. Like I want that to be a choice. I want them to be able to choose me to say that I'm worthy enough and I competed for their love, attention, energy. So yeah, without Kathy, the rest of the story, all the success is like, it's fake because she's always been my number one fan. She's pushed me into places that you might be like a little insecure about, but she's like, bro, you can do it. Between her and my mom, that's why like when we talked about the origin story about the adversity, like it's nothing you could tell me about life when you ask like what is your point of view. Is I have an idealistic view of the world. It's like it can happen. If you push hard enough, it can happen. Because like my mother at 17, now my mother has a doctorate and she's a big time individual. Kathy herself, her parents, they had some difficulties coming up, and she is a educated nurse doing her thing,
Yes.
nurse practitioner. And then like with me, I've been pretty successful in the arenas I've been in. And so I think that the origin story without her is not a thing. The Mitchell brand and our branch of the tree, I would have to say that my family is very proud of us holding that name and holding that legacy down from our branch of the Mitchell tree. So
Man, I'm glad you said that word, man, because there's no other word that I think that best describes the family unit of what you're talking about. You said brand. And I think just like in my family, I think one of the reasons why we're such good friends is that I approach the family conversation like it's a brand. I don't want to take any value from it's not just superficial to me. It's a brand that I truly believe in. Like
Right.
literally my Instagram name is freaking Team Thompson because I think
Right.
Team Thompson is worth fighting for and fighting with. It's literally, I don't know if I learned that through coming up in this world, but like all the good, bad, or indifferent things that happen to me or through me is a reflection of my family, I think. And when I think about that, and the question I have for you is like, what do you think? And I think every household is different, but what is the role that you play in ensuring the success of your family, your brand?
I just think being present and allowing them to have a secure space to be themselves and grow. One of the things we like to say is like everybody's who they're gonna be. Like we are 5 different people in that house. Like they would say me. I'm always laughing, joking, playing, messing with people. Wifey could care less if anybody ever seen her again. You know what I mean? She could take
Introverted.
She would just be content.
Right.
BJ is a lot like his mother. He's cool. He's got a little personality to him. He's cool, but he could literally probably sit in his room for the rest of his life, and he'll be just fine. You know, see us every so often.
BJ is
What's
low
up?
maintenance, man.
Yeah, just really chill. And then you got Bree in there, and she's another pick me. Everybody in the house must know what she's watching, what she's doing, what she eating. So, and then you got Josiah, who is like the new talent in the family, and he is a ball of energy. And
Really?
so in that house, it's just very funny that like you're like, what is it about them, and what do I bring? The only thing I bring is what I would say is the stability. I bring some discipline, and not as a disciplinarian, but the fact that I stay on my routine, and I let them know like every day I don't wake up and be ready to get after it, but I get after it.
Yeah.
You know, you have to go. Like I tell my nephew and I tell BJ, every workout doesn't have to be great, but just do the workout. You know, some days will be good, some days will be bad, but you did it. You know. So I would say, and then in that space, I think I lead in the way that they can be themselves. They can be comfortable in who they are, and then I don't try to change. Some of their behaviors have to change, but I don't try to change who they are at their core. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you like to chill, like for BJ, for example, once he's done doing the things that we've asked of him, you can go to your room and have autonomy to be who you are.
Yeah.
You know, same with Joe, same with Wifey. Like, Wifey does not stop me from, like, you know, I heard some horror stories about wives like, oh, I don't know why you're always at the court. Well, she found me at the court. I've been hooping my whole life. Like, she does not put a simmer on that. She supports me in those ventures. So I also think when you provide that, it's easy for other people to reciprocate that. Because everybody in our house is the next person's biggest fan. If you walk in our house, everybody is everybody else's biggest fan. There's not too many negative things said about the other person. I don't like him, or he done ticked me off today. It's very chill in the house. And I think I provide that just by being present and giving, between me and Wifey, giving them the space, everybody the space to be themselves.
Yeah, man. That was a dope ass answer.
Yeah. I mean,
did Kathy make you say all of that, or
no, she just made me say under duress that she is everything to me, and she's not lying. She is.
Yeah.
She is. I would not be like, to be able to have the legacy continue, to be able to. She's blessed me. I get to call all my kids B Mitch.
Yeah.
You know, and it's based on, you know, I don't know, you know, rest in peace. My Uncle Barry was my guy. He's also B Mitch, and I loved him his, you know, all our days that we had together. And I just think it's real cool that she loves me enough, like, to let me name all the kids after me in some shape, form, or fashion, and to keep the legacy going. So I have 3 B Mitches in the house.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, and
That's
we always say, if you ain't a B Mitch, you don't matter.
You know, it's funny. The cool thing about being your friend for this long is that I remember when you and Kathy were dating way back in the day.
Right.
We were staying in some janky freaking apartments back in freaking Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Right.
We were stationed in Norfolk.
Right.
And I can see not only just the growth of you based off of her presence, but like y'all's family has blossomed into something that I never would have imagined. Not saying you were a bad person or nothing like that,
Right.
but like you say like the better half. I think both of our wives have been very instrumental in ensuring that we're in the places that we're at right now.
Yeah, for sure. She like they just encourage you to be you. I mean, I would say that about the energy that's in your house. Like, you know, just kicking it. Her and her family, and I always say, I even like yesterday, I was telling my sister on the phone, like, being in New Orleans for these couple days is like one of those things where I'm like, the language here is so positive. Like, something even yesterday when I was talking to Mike's cousin, she was like, she was telling me about the school system, and she said, yeah, my scholar, you know, we send our scholars to these different schools. That word in itself, like, when I was thinking, like, we always say students, you know, whatever. My kid, they're going to school, but to say scholar is a big deal. Like, now, when I was on one thing, when I go back home, I'm going to say my scholars, my kids are scholars because they're trying to pursue their education. But I think, like, those things coming down here, there every time I've been around her family, and I say, try to duplicate this in my family, and it's just positive. Everybody's biggest fan. Not saying don't come without risks,
Right.
but I'm your biggest fan, and I love you, and I use positive language for you, and I try to uplift you, and I think that's a powerful thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I think it transcends generations and it's learned behavior. And just for us to, I think that's one thing that we're doing. Both of our families, we're doing that for our next generation. We're showing them, or at least we're trying to model what healthy looks like.
Right.
All right. That was question 2, bro. You got 3 more questions.
I wonder what question you want to pick next.
All right. Question 3 for B. Mitch on the toss up. All right. This is a little different. Pick a time to share when you realized you had outgrown an old version of yourself.
I would have to say my time when I went to Virginia Wesleyan. Because it was an uncomfortable time at first, but you have to change some behaviors. You get some maturity. You enter the unknown. So I think the military gives you some stability and where your next check is coming from, like what to do every day. You are on a routine. Although I was a student and then playing ball and whatnot, I think that during that time, even with wifey, I think we grown together. And I think that time, those years of getting my education as an older individual, even though it's not old, but it's old to be pursuing education at the time. Now it's like the norm. I think that time gave me some time to figure out who I was, who I wanted to be, and it gave me time to pursue my dream because I always wanted to play college basketball. I think those years allowed me to, that and the year of working corporate at CMA CGM as a logistics analyst, figuring out the Delta.
The Delta. With the hand motions with it.
So
you gotta explain the inside joke.
Nah. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Hey, so I think I grew a lot in those years.
Okay.
Between the years of I was age 24 going on 25 to about 28, 29. It gave me what I would say a better view of the world. I had the military background. I had a diverse upbringing. I got to go back home to Virginia Beach. I had wifey with me. I wasn't a conventional student, and so I think the time there just really helped me grow.
Was there anything, because, spoiler alert, and we're going to talk about it in the next segment, Brandon joined the United States Marine Corps, but ended up walking away from the organization, and he went to go pursue his hoop dreams and college education. In walking away from the military, was there any part, if you're saying that time, right, when you walked away from the military was a time of growth for you, was there anything in particular you remember that you had to let go from your military experience that was like, that doesn't work out here?
I just think the rigidness of thought in those environments, like it's rigid thoughts and whatnot. It has its place, but I think I was able to not be so structured, be able to be who I am. Even in my schedules, I could. When I worked at CMACGM, I worked 11 to 8 shift. And people are like, that's crazy. But it wasn't crazy to me. I don't like waking up in the mornings. Never have.
Yeah.
So I'm a night owl. So those things are like, if you're not waking up at 6:30 chasing the morning sun, then you're less than. That's not a thing in the world.
Yeah.
It can be because everybody works on a certain, the world works on a certain clock.
Right.
But I think that those times, like being at practice, although some practices, like we had to be up at 6 o'clock to run the mile or so on and so forth. But I think that it gave me some flexibility to kind of just adjust and be who I wanted to be versus who I was told to be. So I think in those formative years, having a military background, being in the education space and the corporate space, I got some autonomy to be like who I wanted to be without someone telling me, guiding what I was or was not, or adequate or not adequate. You know, even though in the military I had a good career up to But it was very conflicting because I'm always like, someone's always telling me
What to
do. When you're like, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
You're a PFC, you're just a guy.
Yeah.
And Lance Corporal, you got the Lance Corporal on the ground, and then you're a corporal. Oh, you can't be hanging out with them no more. And you become a sergeant, and you're the backbone of the corps, and you're like, brother, like, it's a lot to be someone telling you all the time the personalities that you have to take on and what you have to do and what it looks like, how you should dress, how you should look. I think that has its place because it's no organization where you don't look and act a part, and it has some uniformity and some rules, grooming standards and whatnot. But I think the college days allowed me to just kind of be who I wanted to be. And I don't think I would have made that, like I said, at 18, 19. I don't know if I would have made it in that environment. You know what I mean?
Could you imagine if part of service was to take a break in the middle of it? And I only say that because as you're explaining that, I'm thinking like, if you join like I did, I mean, I joined when I was 18. I've done a 20-year career. And I think a lot of people struggle. I don't think necessarily myself, but I could be wrong. I think a lot of people, senior individuals in the military organizations, struggle with finding their authenticity because they've been in this rat race for that long, and they've always been told how to act, how to posture, how to peacock. And I think it doesn't give people a chance to find who they really are. And that's who you're going to be left with on the tail end of it all, right? You still have to be okay with who you are. The military won't be there to tell you anything anymore. So do you think there could be any value in maybe like a separation of service, kind of like what you...
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because here's the thing that I know now in the position I'm in.
Okay.
Is that the behaviors, everybody, consciousness is not necessarily always a gift, right? It could also be a curse because the more you know is not always good. And one thing I think we forget about, especially right now, not that I want to go down the military rabbit hole, but we're in a peacetime military. We forget sometimes what our actual job is. And our job is one of those where you at one point will have to follow some orders that may or may not result in you or someone you love dearly or know dearly to lose their life.
Yep.
So I don't think breaking service is good for everybody. Now,
Okay.
I think there's places where we could let somebody go get educated. Like, you know how we have like our enlisted officer programs, or people do fellowships or something like that. But I would say I got lucky and fortunate to be, to go to have broken service and still kind of be able to still see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm unique. I wouldn't say that, but I do not think that a lot of people could do the break in service and still, it's not for everyone.
Have the discipline
and
to
have the
yeah.
and then still be able to lock back into what may or may not have to be done one day.
Of course.
In our world, to be able to take life or have life taken.
Yes.
It just depends. So I do not think what I know about the military now. No, the break in service is not an advantage for everybody.
Yeah. And I think that you said it right, like not for everybody, because
Right.
I think there's a certain responsibility level and even maturity level that it would take in order to understand the bigger picture.
Right.
And you and I have been part of this organization for a long time. Not everybody holds that maturity level.
Right. I'm saying, like, so one of the things that we say all the time that we have conversations with friends is the more you learn and the more you know, there comes a responsibility with that.
Yes.
And so knowing everything is not always a gift.
Yes.
Like you could, we've known some of the smartest people in the world and they go crazy.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have to have, like you said, the break in service. It have to be right. It have to be, and even if you're coming back to this, I don't know if you let people out and come back in,
Yeah.
if us as an organization can still, those individuals, I don't know if you lock back in and move forward.
Yeah.
I also think that it does help that the position I'm in now, you have a little more authority and
Of course.
and to do things. You have some decision making abilities and whatnot, and you get to shape some of your environment. But like, if you said like I had a break and I come back to the rank I was at, I don't know if that works.
Yeah. You seem too much.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
might
it's funny
have.
because
Yeah.
I remember we've had many conversations, but I've never heard anybody explain it the way that you just did, and I hope the viewers and the listeners really heard that. Like, yeah, you may have access to this knowledge, but nobody really talks about the responsibility that comes with it.
Yeah.
And I remember.
Well, like they say, when you know better, you do better. So
This
that's
is true.
Like
This is true. But see, this is the thing. I remember we've had conversations where, you're reading a certain book or I'm reading a certain book and you're like, yeah, I had to set that down for a little bit because that's a lot. And, I need to be able to digest this information appropriately.
Right.
And I think it's because you understand the responsibility that comes with it rather than just saying, oh, now I'm just a know-it-all because I read something. Right. I think we could do as Americans, as people, as contributors to this world or shareholders of this earth right now, I think a lot of us can kind of take a page out of that book and start understanding the responsibility behind it.
Yeah, and don't be like the people that weaponize knowledge. That's
Oof.
the thing. Like, weaponizing knowledge is a thing. So it like everything, like from my point of view, is two sides to the coin of everything. Like there's a gift and a curse with everything. And I just feel like when we talk about that break in service, if I have a break in service, do I come back and willingly shave my face? Or do I start questioning? If I have a break in service, it would have to be defined. Do I get to come back and go to the next, or do I get to do something different? But if you told me as like between Lance Corporal and Sergeant Mitchell, I get a break. Like just think about, and people can relate to this. Just think about how you feel after 30 days of leave.
Yeah.
It takes you a while to log back. What if I gave you 4 years, 4 years? Is it like, do you
Yeah, it would
log
be
back
impossible.
in? Because our job is demanding.
Yes.
It's a serious profession.
Yes.
The implications are high, which is why you get the respect and the privilege you get in certain arenas. But the facts are is that I don't know that individuals, like if you said, oh yeah, let's just have a break in service and people can leave when they want to and come back. I don't know if they come back.
Shoot, you make a good point because 30 days of leave. I even remember, dog, when I was a recruiter and after recruiting duty, I went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, which is like, the epitome of like Marine etiquette, tradition.
Right.
And I was showing back up after living in Athens, Georgia for the last 3 years. I felt out of place. I was telling my buddies, I was like, I don't know if I know how to Marine anymore.
Right.
I'm
that's tough.
Yeah, it's an acclimation period.
Yes. Integration is a real thing. How we get socialized, all of the things, and then to be taken away from that.
Yeah.
To
and then reintroduce.
What? And then let me ask you this: what does your break in service look like?
True, because a lot of people ain't doing healthy stuff.
And just get to chill, or I gotta go. Do I gotta get a job? Do I gotta?
I would like to think people would be responsible, but see that.
Yeah. Why?
that's a big
what are
open
the parameters.
Exactly.
And then in my military mindset, how do I enforce that?
Right. Exactly.
So,
you about to bring out a knife hand over there?
Like, hey, let's just. How do I? Did you go home? Did you work out today?
Right.
You
Yeah. You can't even keep track of people like that.
Exactly. So
yeah.
and then both sides of the coin. What if I come from a rich family or a poor family?
Yeah, am I coming back?
Do I get to go live back in my mansion and kick it?
Because I ain't coming back if I'm going back to my mansion.
I'm out of here.
Right.
Ta-ta.
Well, shoot, man. I like the answers to those questions, man. You got 2 more questions.
All right.
Let's move on to the 4th question of the Toss Up on the Salad Bowl podcast. When your kids look back one day, what do you hope that they think that you valued more than basketball and military?
They're gonna know I value them. I think that's a given. They know I rock with them. They're gonna know. I rock with my family. They're gonna know. I valued. I would just say they're gonna know if I could have it my way, and I don't, God forbid, I get sick or anything. If I could live a healthy life and get to the finish line, they're gonna know I love them. I love their mom, and we had some experiences. They're gonna know that I just tried to bring good energy to the world, and that's kind of what I hope they say. Because even wifey will say I'm a ball of energy, and it is what it is. And I try to keep energy. Energy to me is like a real thing, and I say you just try to keep it positive. So they're gonna know that they were valued.
Yeah. I think a lot of
They
times,
might not rock with me as adults, but I'm gonna rock with them.
yeah, for
You know
sure.
how I'd be like, they might be like, I don't rock with my dad. Cool, but I rock with you.
Yeah, biggest fan. I feel like in a lot of black families, we talk about like the generational wealth conversation is always pretty prominent in some of the black families that I've been around, just families in general, actually. And is there anything when it comes to generational wealth, and it doesn't have to just be financial, that you feel like you're working towards to pass down to your children?
Yeah, like just being a good, productive citizen. That shout out Maricosta. We have a thing that we say, take the cart back, and we say it in the military. Everybody says it. Leave the place better than what you were given. So I hope when I leave that my part of my legacy would be that I left this place better than what I was given.
Yeah, that's a dope ass answer, man.
And it could be a dope ass place.
Yeah.
But it could be like I left it even better than that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
My presence was felt. People rock with me. I rock with them. Even if you don't rock with me, you'll be able to say that at least you respected my body of work. Like how we talked about earlier. Like you don't have to like LeBron James or like the Bill Belichick snub, but you have to respect their body of work.
yeah. Facts, facts. All right, one last question, brother. Am I choosing this one? All right. Oh, I grabbed two. Which one? I throw one back. All right. Here we go. Last question of the toss up for the Salad Bowl podcast for B. Mitch. Pick a time competition showed you something about your ego that you didn't like.
I didn't like at one point that you just cannot control the outcome of how games play out. Because I feel like as an athlete, I feel like at one point in my life, I was a high level athlete. And I feel like you can never control that environment because everybody's jockeying for the same thing. And one of the things is like you run into somebody that's just a bad motherfucker. Like,
Just built different.
like I never forget. I think at one point when I was really good, I was playing in a pro-am and I played against my guy Stanley Pringle for the first time. And I was pretty fast and athletic and, did the athletic feats that people are impressed with. And I'm like, this dude is cold. Like, I'm like, and I was a hell of a defender. So, like, I could guard most people and you might have a hard time. But this dude was doing whatever he wanted to do. And I was just like, dang. I've also been in games where, like, you play, like, football and the DB or the receiver you're guarding is just cold. And ain't nothing you could do about it. But that's part of the competition I also like, too. Like, it's like that's a gift and a curse. You cannot control that outcome if you decide to get in that arena. And your ego will have you believe like, man, they weren't that good. Or, oh, they only won because of
A, B, C,
all
or D.
the
Yeah.
refs were cheating.
Yep.
The rules of the tournament. Your ego, when you go and you make yourself vulnerable to competition, your ego can be shattered. And so I don't like, at one point, I can accept it now because I'm matured and I've been in enough competition to know. But when you cannot control the outcome of the game or what happens, that can bruise your ego a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a big lesson, whether you're competing in sports, in life, in business. What you just said, I think, is a really good life lesson for anybody to learn. And sometimes it takes having your ego bruised to learn that lesson.
Right.
It's probably easier said than done. But I do think, I even think of myself, I didn't play college basketball. I've competed on different levels, but I would say that, my ego has been shattered plenty of times, whether I'm
Right.
competing in the office, whether I'm competing at home. We talked about competing for things at home. And even in sports, like sometimes you got to take a piece of humble pie, and it's what you do with that really shows you the character or the maturity level that you're currently sitting at.
Yeah, and also I would like to say too that ego and confidence is not the same. Because you have to be confident in your abilities to get in the arena to compete. And I don't care what arena it is. It could be, I know we allude to sports a lot, but you could play chess. You can compete at work. You can compete in art. Like I want to make you can compete in music. You
Yeah.
know, you have to write, and you could compete as an author. So like you can't be egotistical because all of those things require you to be vulnerable to something. And the only way you've probably gotten that good in that medium to be able to reach the pinnacle is that someone had to bring you down to earth, and you had to be willing to learn.
Yeah.
So
Who knew that the word vulnerability could be matched up with strength? You know, like that's a big lesson right there.
I would have to say those that try to act like they're not vulnerable, that's the first sign of insecurity. Like if you're not comfortable in that, because why would you get on the stage? Why would you? It's like being a musician. Why do you get on the stage and present yourself to the world? You're being vulnerable. Why do we hoop? Why do you why do you sit down and play a game? You are vulnerable because if you enter this arena,
You're
right,
open to lose.
you could be judged harshly,
Yeah.
For your art, but you also could lose, right? You could, when I get in the lines and I get ready to play, I could lose, right? And then what does that mean? How does the world define that?
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable being vulnerable and having people say what they are going to say about you, are you good with that?
Yeah.
Especially in this world, like the comments on your page after you take a beating,
It can get harsh out there.
DTA.
But you know what? It made me think about how it shows the character of a person and how you refocus that too. Because earlier today we were talking about Brian Scalabrine and his quote. When it came to people talking about, oh, you're not that good, and him really competing on the grand scale of it all.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, this when he said, "I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So, like, one of the things that I said that we even as athletes have a hard time processing is that Brian Scalabrine, I don't even know who or why that would be your target of choice. But like I was telling you, he's one of the best players in the world. Like everybody on that TV that plays for money and a lot of money, like they're good.
Really good.
Really good. Because like we were saying, if they showed up to your local program or your local league, you'll find out real quick. And then your ego, like we just talked about, will be shattered.
Yes.
And they ain't that good. Okay. They are. When you see them in person, they are.
Yeah.
Right? They got there for a reason.
Yeah.
And I think, another thing about ego is that you have to respect what someone else did to get to their spot. There's a rhyme or reason. We can always nepotism. Bronny James is in the league because of nepotism. Yeah, whatever. He still went through the process to get there. Now, someone say he shortcut the process, but his daddy did enough foundation for him to get there. He still played high school. He still tried to go to college. He had an incident. Like, you have to respect what they did to get there.
Yeah.
Right? Could Bronny, like every other NBA kid, have went off the beaten path?
Yes.
Not every other NBA kid, because there's several NBA kids that made it. But what about like
kids who have access to fame and money like what LeBron has?
I don't have to do this.
Right.
Bronny James didn't have to play basketball to be okay. LeBron says it all the time.
Yes.
Right. We have authors. A lot of people that do things are second and third generation.
Right.
And a lot of people that don't do things. Like my daddy was this. I don't have to do anything. Like,
Exactly.
My daddy is a billionaire. I'm going to sit at home and enjoy his money. Like.
Yeah.
So I think you have to always respect what the next man did to get there.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, that closes out the toss-up segment. I feel like just with the certain questions that you ended up pulling out, we learned a little bit more about Brandon Mitchell, and I think it gave us a little bit more insight to what you bring to the table when it comes to your ingredient for the salad bowl. What we're going to do now, we're going to segue into our next segment. Our next segment, we call it Mixed Ingredients. And this is where I have like a predetermined subject I wanted to talk to you about. And though we're friends, inside the military, outside the military, and I really don't like talking about occupations all that much here on this show, I will say that I think that you have a unique path in your professional life of where you currently sit now. And I don't think that is lost on me, or like, I don't want to take it lightly. The path that you took and the complexity and the nuance behind it, I appreciate it, and I do want to talk about it. So you and I, we met a long time ago. I think it was like around 2008, 2009, and we were both enlisted Marines in the Marine Corps. I think we were sergeants or something like that. It's probably irrelevant, but you're no longer well, you left the Marine Corps and went on to do some pretty big things in school, but then you came back as a Marine Corps officer. I'm really interested to talk to you about, like, I know there's probably a lot of things to dig through, but like that process and what it's taught you. Can you kind of just share your start to finish and being today of how you ended up being a major in the United States Marine Corps?
First things first, being and getting to this rank, as a competitor, this ain't it. So this is not, like you said, finished. This is not gonna be the highlight of my life. God willing, I keep my health and all that. So I would say that two things that have been constant in my adult life have been the Marine Corps, basketball, and well, three things, and wifey. Those three things have been pretty constant between my years of 18 and 38. That's a 20-year span. So, like we said, I joined the Marine Corps young. I would just fast forward to where, like, we met when I was in Norfolk, Virginia, getting to play military basketball. Like, my basketball career started reviving again. I started playing like I said, I played in a pro-am. I was playing in leagues. I had some college interests where I went on a tour with my guy Jake, who's one of my best friends as well.
Man.
Me and Jake and his brother went on like a college tour. I was trying out for teams. There was a lot of interest in me playing hoops again.
Shout out Jake, by the way.
Yeah, shout out my main man Jake. Another constant, good one. I always tell everybody, everybody needs a friend like Jake.
Everybody
Jake
needs a friend like Jake.
He's a really good friend.
Yeah.
So being at the hometown, I felt like I was going to try it again. Like, because rest in peace, my Uncle Barry, we have ties to Norfolk State. My cousin played at Norfolk State. My uncle was one of the greatest players ever to play at Norfolk State. My grandma retired from Norfolk State.
Wow.
My aunties went to school at Norfolk State. So Norfolk State was like the first option to be able to play. And then and one thing as we talked about, if I would have known this as a younger man, I could have probably played like some Division II or Division III or JUCO basketball. I didn't really know about those options.
Yeah.
So we went on like a Division II tour. So those things all worked out. They start giving me the vibe of like, hey man, this dream is not dead. So another part of my life is that I've been a part of the All-Marine basketball program. So while I was playing, I played in tournaments. I started with the Navy boys down there in a team called Outcast, where I was like that's where I would say my career took like the next step. These guys mentored me, helped me learn how to play, a whole slew of them. I don't want to say any of their names. I don't want to miss nobody, but they were very instrumental in me playing, working out. I will shout out my guy Chris Harper, because he's
Chris.
another guy that really showed me the process, how to lift. With Chris, I like pushed my body to limits that I never knew existed, and that's when I was like doing some athletic feats that I was like, this is crazy. I was really getting on that rim and running by people.
Oh, bro, I remember.
So yeah,
I remember.
So.
Not to interrupt you, but I'm gonna tell you this. I don't even think I've ever told you this before. But when I got to Norfolk, you were already there. You were already hooping. You were already one of the. I personally believe you were the best point guard the Marine Corps had at the time. At that point,
right.
And I feel like I was. If I had to equate my talent at the time, I was the kid after, didn't make the basketball team in high school, but could play really good after school when everybody's just fucking around on the court, right? Right. I had that level of talent where I could embarrass some people after school on the court. But when I walked into that Norfolk gym and I saw, before I joined the team, I saw y'all play and I saw everybody was taller than 6'2", so I was definitely the shortest guy there.
Right.
But how the layup line wasn't the layup line, it was the dunk line. Like,
right.
Everybody was on the rim. We had a couple of 6'9" dudes, and then you were the starting point guard at the time. I was like, dang, there's no way I'm taking that guy's spot. Like, I was like, because I was confident enough to be like, all right, I'm in a new station. I think I can hoop or whatever. When I walked into that gym, I walked away saying, it won't be this one.
Yeah.
But dog, I think you of course you're gonna take the humble route, but like, as your dream was reviving, I could be one to take witness and say like your work ethic and your athletic ability was ridiculous. You know, I guess we're the old guys now saying, "Oh, back in my day," but like, bro, when people hear about you and they ask me, they're like, "Oh, you know, I hear about this Mitch guy. I heard he was kind of good." I'm like, "Yo, you were like the Derrick Rose of the fucking Marine Corps at the time."
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. Derrick Rose is a Hall of Famer. But
You know what I mean. I'm talking about comparable,
if you
though.
ask my boy Chris Harris, though, we was in Cali for the All-Marine tournament, and I was in the warm-up line doing, I always like to do the two-hand, like the tomahawk jump was like my opening dunk. And it was a kid that was like, "Look, Mom, it's Derrick Rose." That joke was funny. Like, we would laugh about that.
But I'm saying skill set, of course, he is a Hall of Famer, but skill set wise, I meant explosive, strong. I remember calling my parents because I was like, you know, I was telling them, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm working out with this guy named Mitch." They were like, "Okay, make sure you learn some stuff." I'm like, this dude is, I think I'm fast. I think I'm at 5'9", I can still dunk. I was like, I was doing some things, but I was like, "Mom, this guy he got 4 inches on me. No matter what, he's stronger than me. Like, I don't have the lift regimen." So I would say, like, it was comparable to the strengths of Derrick Rose. I'm not saying, of course, you know,
Right.
you didn't play for the Chicago Bulls, but
Right.
you know what I mean.
They missed out, you know.
Confident.
Yeah, so then, like, long story short, that didn't work itself out, but I got an opportunity to play on the All-Marine team. Coach Red bought me to D.C., and in D.C., I played a lot of basketball that I feel like developed my game even more as an adult. This is one of the things I can say when I say chase your dream to failure is that our clocks are different. You know, I played college basketball at 25, you know. Even now, that's old to be like, "Hey, I was a freshman at 25 years old." But one thing that everyone respects about the process is that you just never gave up.
Yeah.
Right. And never gave up on the process and just worked through it. So I was up there playing. I got to a point in my career where I was like, I think I really want to pursue this. And one of the things that me and like Chris Harris, we always talk about was like, I always had a piece missing of me because I could always play, but I didn't have the stamp. And the stamp is, did you play collegiate? Did you have a chance at pro? Did you? So now I think that was one of my insecurities when you talk about being vulnerable. That like used to tick me off. Like not tick me off to the point where like you are like, "Oh man, back up off me." It's more like, man, I should have, if I could do it again at 18, 19, I would have poured my everything into trying to be a college basketball player.
Yeah.
It sounds a little shallow, like, damn, it's just basketball. But it's like, if I would have done that then, you know, my story, I have a great, in my opinion right now, I have a great story and I'm loving my life and whatnot. But, and my life story, because I get to help others. But either way, I got up to DC. We're playing a lot. I get to a point where, I don't know if it's armed service, but we start getting, Chris Harris being the great player he was getting college interest, but his coaches were also interested in what I could do, right? But he was, I mean, he's
Chris Harris.
yeah, I mean,
Shout out
he's
Chris.
cold. Yeah, shout out Chris. He cold.
Cold.
So, but playing next to him, like what happens a lot, even with me recruiting, is that you go look and recruit one guy, and there's another guy that you're like, who's that as well? So, so the Army coach, he set up like some more workouts, and then that let me know then, like being in that college environment with the coaches and their evaluation, that I can play college basketball even as an old man. Old man. So after I was up in DC, I had to make a decision. The Marine Corps gave us an opportunity to go on a VERT program. Now, one thing that's funny about the VERT at the time, they said if you get out, you can't come back.
Can't come back in.
That is, I don't know if that's still true, but
I think so.
But literally, I was like, I don't care. Like, and not like I don't care, but I'm not
interested
yeah,
in coming back
and
in.
I wasn't hearing the people, when you get out, you're just gonna work at McDonald's. Yeah, whatever, bro. I guess I'm gonna be flipping burgers. But what I am gonna do is I'm gonna pursue my education and I'm going to play college basketball.
Yeah.
That had been a burning desire of mine, so I did it. And so fast forward, I get out. I end up at Wesleyan. Wesleyan, you go there. Like, I had a chance to probably go to Norfolk State. I could have probably walked on. I
Yeah.
had some friends that I could probably walked on to ODU.
Yeah.
I could have probably went to Virginia State. And I say that not necessarily because I'm like that I was that type of talent. It's just those were opportunities that could have been presented to me through networking and so on and so forth.
Of course.
And so, but I went. Oh, and I also had a good workout at Christopher Newport, and they were very interested. And I could have probably played football and basketball there. They were like, the football coach saw me working out. He was like, "You sure you don't want to play football?" So that was kind of cool to you know.
Yeah.
But I ended up when I walked in Wesleyan, the vibe. One thing that I shot, although it was Division III at the time, when I walked in that gym, I was like,
These dudes can.
"This is Division III."
Right.
I never forget Greg Montgomery and Kobe Hurd, to my teammates, DJ Woodmore. These dudes was, you talking about getting on the rim.
Hooping.
Like, I'm talking about they warming up, going backwards, behind the back, over the head, and then everybody was so skilled and so good, and I was like, I can see myself here. Not to mention, when you walk in the batting center, there is banners all around from the basketball team over the last, at the time when I was there, the last 10 years, where they made the NCAA tournament. They won a national championship. They went to a national championship. They went to the Sweet 16. They were a winning program. And at knowing what I know now, I value that more than saying the stamp of I played Division I. And I don't disrespect any Division I athlete, but at the place that I was coming from, I was going to go to a losing Division I program and get my head beat in probably every night. It's just kind of how I would have been a walk-on. You trying to work through it, and walk-ons don't go to winning programs.
Right.
Like, in my position, walk-ons do go to winning programs, but in my position, walking on to a program where you're going to see the NCAA tournament just wasn't that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to get a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. And,
Right.
And so I played Wesleyan, and I won. We won while we was there. So one year we were conference champs. That was my first year, which would have been like what you consider a freshman year. We won the conference. As part of a winning team. The second year, we lost in the conference championship, and we played in the NCAA Final Four. And so that development time, it was a great time, what a time to be alive, to be a Wesleyan, Virginia Wesleyan Marlin, which is, this is their last year. Their name is getting changed. So we'll be able to say that we were forever in the history books as the Virginia Wesleyan Marlins, and we won and put banners up. My banners are in the gym with my teammates and my nephew and my son and my homies that are in Virginia Beach that go in. We're in the glass. Our pictures up there. It's something I'm very proud of, an accomplishment.
Brother, I remember coming to watch you play at Virginia Wesleyan, and I was, of course, still in the Marine Corps, but I came to one of your games. I think I was in town for something. And one, the level of basketball was extremely high, but one thing that stood out to me, it was your coach and just the players, how y'all reacted. Y'all had a certain culture with that team. One, I don't even know if I should say this on here, but all y'all was light skinned, first of all. Except DJ.
We look like the Warriors.
Right. It looked like the Warriors for real. But no, in all seriousness, there was a character of the team as far as like the discipline. You could tell that y'all put in behind the scenes, right? It seemed like y'all were connected as far as like on the court and off the court. Even you being an older guy, quote unquote older guy, you still seem very connected to the team rather than just like, I'm just here to play ball and I'm gonna keep on moving. Yeah. Can you tell me about the culture of Virginia
it's
Wesleyan
exactly
basketball?
what you've seen. That is real. It's not fake. We didn't just do that like, oh, we did a team building exercise so we could happen to get some wins. Nah, we didn't do that. Like, those are my homies. Like, what is now for us? It's our 10. We've been graduated 10 years. I'm still in a group chat with my teammates, and we still. I'm still in a group chat with them. We check on each other pretty regularly. If someone makes a post, you see the congratulations. We talk periodically. In our group chat, we talk pretty regularly for 10 years of conversation, and I think we've only been in the same environment a couple times since graduation, especially with me and my military service. I would say at least as a group as a whole, we haven't been together, but we have all made efforts. If one of them is in a certain area, they will make the effort to be there.
That's what's up.
And so that alone to me lets me know that was real.
Yeah.
It was real because it's sustainable and it's still a thing. So it's a winning culture. You just, if you to be a part of it, you know what it looks like.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I graduated college, which is a big deal in the fam.
Mm-hmm.
Graduated,
Mm-hmm.
and then after school, I went to CMA CGM as a logistics analyst. So I was working there. One of the things I did have that I didn't mention, I also started a company. It was a moving company called Mitchell Moving.
Yeah.
So we were moving houses. It was a cool thing.
Yeah.
And the only reason I knew like to think about that business is because of military experience. Like people got to move. So
Right. Used to being around Lance Corporals that know how to pick stuff up. And
and my teammates, we would get paid by moving people's houses. So, so a little entrepreneurship run there, and then, did I buy? Maybe I bought a house right before.
You did
or
buy
after.
that house.
So we purchased a
Virginia
house,
Beach.
but I was working as a logistics analyst, and I was doing my thing. It was a great gig. But one thing that I talk about rigid, the rigidness of that job made me be like, bruh, you
This
had
ain't
to
it?
like clock out to use the bathroom.
Really?
Like, it's 15-minute breaks is a real thing.
Dang.
If you're not producing, then you're not. Now, I might be exaggerating with the bathroom thing, but it was really two 15-minute breaks and like an hour lunch. And that hour starts when you hit that button to get up from that desk.
Dang.
You know what I mean? Like,
which was a lot different than the lunches we used to have when we were in the Marine Corps.
Bruh.
Like, we go hoop for 2 hours.
No.
Right. Our lunches when we were sergeants were we go for 2 hours and play basketball and then take an hour to change.
But that's part of the culture. Like, if in the military, like, if you're working, lunch is an hour, right? If you're working out, lunch is 2. It's tradition that most people go and work out, but that's ingrained in our culture,
Right.
People say, "Oh, y'all take 2-hour lunches." I'm like, "Yeah, but
Not
you're really supposed to be working out if you take the 2." And like you said, we played basketball, so we was working out. The LBL is a real thing in the Marine Corps. All our friends is lunch basketball legends.
Yes. Yes.
But I was working that corporate job, and one thing that used to be funny is my Marine Corps friends used to call me on my job and mess with me. You know what I mean? So like, although I was years away from that now, I still had those connections.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you can duplicate those relationships. I don't know if it's through our culture, shared misery, whatever it is. Where just being a Marine is just different. And so we eventually, I don't know how the actual connection happened, because I think the Marine Corps tried to recruit me out of college, and I was like, absolutely not. Like, not
happening.
Not happening. But at some point, the recruiter intrigued me. I had a conversation. I don't know how she convinced me or who convinced me. But I felt like this was the place I needed to be at. So eventually, I think I had to retake my ASVAB. So that was like the start of like what I say, competing to get a spot as in OCS, which I was like, I'm probably already did it. Why would the Marine Corps not want me back? But not knowing you have to compete.
Yeah.
So I had to get I was already physically fit because I just left college basketball, but the youngins are also physically fit.
Of course, coming straight out of college. Yeah.
Right. So luckily, like I said, you asked me about competing. I competed in the classroom. I think I graduated with like a 3.7-ish GPA, which I'm very proud of. I made the all academic team. Everybody, some dudes is all conference, all league. I made the all academic team.
Nice.
So,
was there any consideration that you had as far as like like did it have to be the Marine Corps? Like, because I remember you and I had a conversation when you were considering coming back to the military. I remember calling you when you were working that job, and you used to sound miserable. I used to be like,
one thing that everybody knows about me is that I can't sit still for that long.
Right.
I literally had to sit and work in a cubicle, and I'm like, this is not
right.
life.
You can't joke
And
around, go to your
and
friend's desk.
and they paying you good, and life is good. You could talk to the dude that's next to you. Like
Right.
me and my dude Chris used to sit next to each other, and we like there's death. Like we could talk like in earshot. I can't think of the older lady's name, but I used to have to hear about her and her cats. Like
Yeah.
and all of us. Sweet lady, no one wanted to get caught in a conversation with her. She's like, because it
would go on and on.
And she wasn't on the same production we was on, so like she could talk.
Yeah.
I ain't got time for all that.
Yeah,
like,
I feel that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like so. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
But I remember that conversation I had because you were like, you were playing with the idea of coming back. You were like kind of weighing your options. And the funny thing about misery is like, you're like, I'm thinking about not doing this no more. And I'm in the Marine Corps. I'm like, I'm miserable. I'm like, well, I wasn't miserable, but
Right.
I think any Marine can complain about anything, right? So I'm like, oh, go to the Air Force, man. Like you need to. Why would you come back to this? Did you ever look at any other branches, or were you dead set on coming back to the Corps?
Marine Corps, OCS, I guess, the selection officer kind of was pitching me. I did call all the other offices.
Did you?
I just wanted to know. I'm a person that likes to know what my options are. So
Yeah.
I called the Air Force. I don't remember all the exact answers, but I think the Air Force had like a waiting period, like a year, which I was willing to do because I had a great
You getting
job.
paid.
I was like, I wasn't in a rush to come back. It wasn't like, oh, I got to get back into that. I was not desperate or anything. So
Yeah.
I called the Air Force. I talked to the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard said something like, you did too many years in the Marine Corps, something like that.
Dang.
That's like one of their
loss.
thing. Yeah, their loss. Yeah. I think the Army told me I would have to be infantry or tanks. That was a hot thing at the time, and I was like, "That's gonna be a no for me."
It's gonna be a no.
Yeah. And then like the Navy, if I would have known this, I would have probably ended up in the Navy. But if I would have known then that a Bachelor of Science carries so much more value than a Bachelor of Arts in some arenas, I would have did the Bachelor of Science.
Oh.
In business, I would have still did business, but I would have been more STEM. So I don't know why, but I feel like it is what it is. But a Bachelor of Science carries some weight.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, but I had a Bachelor of Arts, and they wanted STEM at the time. So they were like, you could be very competitive. I think they said, we think you would get selected and make it through. But at the time, they were like, we're really not that interested because you would go to I would say the one of the lower tiers because you're not a bachelor. You're a Bachelor of Art versus Science. So that's kind of like what I remember. That could be my truth. It could be what I just remember from it. But and in the Marine Corps, you had to compete to get a spot. I wasn't guaranteed to come back.
Yeah.
So I got in that environment, the ODU, OCS class and whatnot. We were doing the thing and working out. Got that ASVAB score. I had to go, man, I'll never forget this. After college basketball season, I had to go back to MEPS and do the duck walk.
Lord.
Bruh.
Wait, so you had a hard time being a college athlete?
I was hitting my knees. Oh, what's the jump?
The duck walk.
When you about to put your knees on that boy, my Jones was hurting. I was like, this is crazy. I'm like, he's like, you got to go to that line. I'm like, that one over there? That one? Like,
you don't say.
It's like, so, but I do remember that. Even then, I kind of still slow roll because I missed a class or two. I wasn't quite sold that I wanted to go back in.
Yeah.
So I did all my admin stuff, but I like really slow rolled it. Like, I don't really know. Life was good in Virginia Beach.
Right.
Home with the fam.
Comfortable.
Yeah. And so eventually I made a decision and I did the whole pipeline. The training pipeline was a good time.
Would you say, I have to ask you this, would you say there was any part of going back into Marine Corps training, was there a day or was there a certain event, maybe dealing with drill instructors or just the bureaucracy of what you knew already had been introduced with the Marine Corps? Was there ever a time when you were like, damn, I came back to this? Like, did you ever second guess it?
Yes. So anybody that knows me knows I like moving at my own pace. So when I'm in OCS, I'm like, this ain't real life. I'm 29, 30 years old. Am I about 30?
So, yeah, you're older, definitely older for...
Like, 2 sheets in a blanket. I'm like, bro, I was doing this at 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
And then another thing, which is valuable to me, this is why like you have to like be comfortable and be vulnerable. It's like, why am I taking a shower with another grown ass man? Like, we're in the shower. You got 35 seconds to get out the shower.
I want my cubicle back.
Bro, move. You know how like
Right,
everybody
yeah,
start getting
yeah.
all aggressive. All they try to do is get through training like you try to get through training. But
Yeah.
I think OCS was particularly for me difficult. It was not the training itself, not the training, none of the physical events, none of the marching, none of that.
Yeah.
It's just being on someone else's time.
Yeah.
Remember earlier I told you I was on my own time for a while as a student. You pick your own schedule. I picked the night shift kind of.
You got control.
Yeah. You ain't got control.
Nah. I used to tell when I was a recruiter, when I talked to older people who were looking at coming into the military, we even joined like some guy who was like 29. Like he was hitting that waiver mark for the enlisted side. And we never used to tell them about like the physical aspect. Like, you know what you're signing up for, but it's the maturity level and the mindset of being able to like say, okay, I understand this game. I just gotta do as I'm told.
Right.
To get the things that I want to get.
I need to get this. So yeah, for me, because of just snapping back into military life, OCS was particularly difficult in the sense that I feel like I was uncomfortable. Just, I was performing. I did well there, but like I was uncomfortable. I had plenty. When I got to the weekend, I could talk to wifey. I had all kind of complaints. And if you know me too, like I missed the NBA finals.
Yeah.
Like
which is a big thing.
Right, like I missed
do y'all have phones? Can y'all have phones?
Yeah, on like after a certain week, but it had already happened. I think it's the 3-1 Cleveland finals I missed.
We don't gotta talk about that.
Yeah. So
I'm a Warriors fan, so
Yeah. But yeah, to answer your question, it would have to be like the initial training of snapping back in, like eating when someone else tells you to eat fast.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to eat fast.
I want to take my time.
Can I take a hot shower? Just like
Yeah.
y'all done ran the piss out of me all day. Can
Yeah.
I just take a get in your blanket and don't move. You ever like you do?
Was there any part that did the opposite where you're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'm back. Like I'm back around my people. I'm back around this mindset. Was there any opposite effect, or were there more complaints?
I would have to say once I finally got back to Lejeune and back in like my basketball family with like Jake and them, Nate and them, all of them were stationed in Lejeune. Once I got back down to Lejeune out of school, out of the training pipeline, that's when I was like,
go back home.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah,
it's cool. And I would have to say, like at the time, I accomplished something that a lot of people hadn't accomplished, and the homies was like very proud. Like, this is my dog. I feel like we all feel some type of way about Mustangs, but like being one of the guys that actually like played, was like around. I would say like accessible.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of like a big deal to some people that I had crossed over and was an officer.
Yeah, it was a win for the team. Like I feel like my thing is like it's always good to see the fam win. And when you crossed over, it wasn't like a damn he left us. It was more like damn
that's my dog.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's how the homies
we winning. And I feel like there's certain people who are grounded to where you know that they didn't lose themselves just because they went through a different process as well.
Right.
I thought that you came being on the officer side, you didn't lose who Mitch was. It was just you got a different role. You understand that roles, and you know enough about the organization and got enough time as everybody else to say like, I see what's happening here.
Right.
What does Lethal Shooter say? I understand it now.
I understand it now. And I think I understand it now. I don't have it all figured out, but I understand. And I try to back to that mentor piece, I try to let people know that it's possible. It's within the realm of possible. Like
Yeah.
it's not unachievable to go enlisted officer.
Yeah.
Like the barrier isn't as high as you think it is. You just have to go.
Yeah. But I would say, man, it's not lost on me, or I'm pretty sure the people who are listening to your journey, that, man, to go from PFC to Major Mitchell, I mean, that's a spectacular feat, man. I'm happy to have seen this from the cheap seats,
Right,
and
right.
and say that, man, I've seen a lot of growth. I've seen uh, a lot of blossoming when it comes to your story. If we're talking about from harvest to fruition, man, like I really appreciate being able to see your journey. That actually leads us to our last segment of the day, because what I do with my last segment of the day, I call it the final bite. The final bite, I leave it up to my guest to really leave us with the final bite of the Salad Bowl podcast. We've talked about a lot of things as far as like your origin story, your roots. We've talked about kind of how you see the world when it comes to fatherhood, being a husband, basketball, sports. We've even gone into the professional aspect as far as like understanding your journey from a junior Marine on the enlisted side to being a major in the United States Marine Corps. But the final bite, really what I want to leave to you is just, I know that there's probably a message somewhere you got locked in your head, or probably even on the forefront of your brain, that would motivate somebody out there. Probably a universal message that'll be relevant in 2026 that we're currently in right now, or 3026 if YouTube is still around, or these podcast things are still a thing, many years from now, that could be relevant. Can you leave us with a final bite, or is there a final bite on your mind that you want to share with the viewers or the listeners? And I got to be honest with you, man, I don't know how big or small this podcast really is. I don't really do this for the comments or the likes or the engagement. I do this because I like to document certain moments with the people that I really appreciate and respect. But is there a final bite you can leave us with that you think is relevant for the people?
Yeah. I think we alluded to it earlier, is that if you have an opportunity in life to chase your dreams or chase something, chase it to failure. Persevere and press through. I'm telling you, every story that I have ever read, and the persecution that some people go through, and for them to persevere through, like right now, I'm watching the Dallas Cowboys thing and the stuff that Jerry Jones went through. Or if you watch, I read Steve Jobs. I loved Apple, or I loved Apple early, and I'm a big Nike fan. I'm a Nike head. I love Nike. If you listen to their stories, they worked it through all of the adversity. Like when you read, if you ever get a chance, read the book Shoe Dog, where he was like, "Oh, I didn't even have no money in my pocket, and I bought triple digit thousands worth of inventory because I knew in my back of my mind someone was gonna buy it." I would say, if I could give anybody anything, Brandon Mitchell would say, chase your dream to failure. If you fail, fail again, press through, and have some perseverance to just keep going forward. And like that forward thing could be in any direction. Like if you ask me, you ask my mom, if you ask me at 10 years old, I was gonna be a professional basketball player. Obviously, I'm not. But I also didn't think I would be this far in the Marine Corps. So I did their process. I also didn't think I would be this educated. So I pushed through an education. And I think I'm smart, but I don't know if I'm intelligent like some people that I've been in these education arenas with. So for someone like me, who was a son of a teenage mother whose mother has a PhD, me and my dad always says, you and your mother do not think it's anything you can't do. And I really believe that. I don't think it's anything that I can't do. And I would want to impart that on all of my family and friends. There's nothing that you can't do. Just push. Even like I look at your daughter drawing, like I'm like, you're destined for greatness. Like, I don't know if your art, I don't know if the rest of the world appreciates your art, but do it, and do it to failure. My son is like that. We're trying to figure out what he's trying to do. I tell Josiah, I tell anybody, just push through and take it to failure. go ahead and just fail. At least you can say you did it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the thing that you failed at least you can say you did it. So that's what my message would be. Push all the way to failure and push some more and persevere and just keep going. That would be my message.
Man, fantastic final bite. Even in, of course, I wanted some of the viewers or the people who are listening to hear that, but I think I need to hear that as well, because I think I can incorporate that with some of the things I have going on in life, especially with my upcoming transition when it comes to retirement and just being able to find a way forward, even if it's not what people think or expect it to be. I appreciate that one, man. And before we close out here, or before we conclude, man, I just want to make sure I say I appreciate you coming and sitting down and talking with me, man. I know you're in town in New Orleans just for a short amount of time. You came here for a course, but I really was looking forward to sitting down and documenting our friendship, because I think I'm really big on, we played a basketball game earlier this week, and Though it was really fun playing with you, man. It brought me back as far as like, dang, I got Mitch to pass it to again. Right. It makes the game a lot easier for me. But one of the highlights behind the scenes of that was like being able to model for my son what like how men can be friends and the connections we can share, whether it's through sports or you just come in and hang over at the house. And I think KJ, he really takes his cues from men, and I could tell he was studying you and our friendship a lot, and I'm glad to be able to give that to him, man. So I appreciate you coming to chill with me, man. I appreciate this long friendship that we done had, because some friendships they go in and out. I feel like we've been pretty constant the entire time we've been rocking with each other since 2009, man. So I appreciate you coming to chill with me, man.
Well, can I say this? I know this is your podcast, and I don't want to have the last word, so you got to say something after this. But what I will say is that even coming here this week and someone else seen it, is that I appreciate like the warmness of coming here. Like Kev was like, oh, I got my dude that can hoop on the team. So they were more than welcome. Tomorrow when we go kick some ass on this football field, it's already like I got my guy coming in. Or like when we was walking on the building, it's a few people I've already got to shake hands with and just be like, because my dude Kev has a genuine love for the homie. And I feel like I try to reciprocate that. My dude, like me, when y'all come to town, be like, oh, my dude Kev and Mariah and them are coming to town. And I feel like the presentation, even for KJ, is like, I didn't have much to do but just show up because you've already laid the groundwork. So I appreciate that, because there's no reason to be a hater. Like,
no.
Someone else can be great in your environment, and you are great in your own right. And if they don't know, they're going to find out that your story is just as impactful to everybody else. So it's like, I just appreciate that, where it's like the homie is one of my biggest fans, and it's not like a fanboy. It's like, I'm just a fan of you and your work. So over to you, Bob. Over to you, Bob.
Well, we'll end with this. Look, if you listen to this episode, I just want to say I appreciate you as well. Here on this podcast, we're all about the diversity of thought, the diversity of the stories, and just being able to look through different lenses and ultimately choosing curiosity over certainty. Look, one of our biggest things here on this podcast is normalizing authenticity. And if you just listen to the conversation me and Mitch had, that's true authentic behavior and conversation. I want to say thank you for tuning in, or even just listening to the snippets. If it did something for you, I ask that you share it. I got to get better in saying that, because I keep on forgetting to tell people to share my stuff, but I think this is how we get the good word out. I appreciate you all for rocking with me. And until the next time on the Salad Bowl podcast, go out there and make somebody smile. Do something positive, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Peace.